Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This video is the continuation of Rotation and Revolution Part 2. Today we are going to learn about the Aphelion Perihelion and the yearly apparent movement of the Sun. So let's see it. Now what is Aphelion and Perihelion? We already know that the Earth revolves around the Sun 365 days in a year. Now, when the Earth rotates around the Sun and it has the farthest distance from the Sun on July 4th, and the distance between the Sun and the Earth is about 152 million kilometers. That means every year on 4th July, the Earth and the Sun has the furthest distance between them. That is known as aphelion. Now, this word is coming from the Greek word. Aphe means away and helios means the Sun. Same as on January 3rd, the distance between the Earth and the Sun is only 147 million kilometers. That means it is the nearest distance between the Earth and the Sun. Every year on 3rd January, the distance between them is 147 million kilometers, and this date is known as perihelion. Now, this word is also coming from the Greek word. This peri means near and helios means the Sun. So, this is aphelion and perihelion. And the average distance between the Sun and the Earth is 150 million kilometers. This is the average distance between the Earth and the Sun. Now, according to the variation in lengths of days and nights, there are 4 particular positions of the Earth. Number 1, 21st June, that is summer solstice. On 23rd September, it makes autumnal equinox. On 22nd December, it makes winter solstice, and on 21st March, it is vernal equinox. Now we are going to discuss it one by one. Before starting that, we need to know what are the reasons that causes the variation in the length. During the revolution around the Sun, the Earth receives vertically rays, suppose like this, the vertically rays or the oblique rays of the Sun. And depending on the amount of duration of the light received the Earth, the different areas of the Earth depends on different length of the days and the night. And why it has happened? Because number 1, the shape of the Earth. It belongs to the shape of the Earth. Our Earth is looking like spheroid. It also depends on the rotation of the Earth, revolution of the Earth, elliptical orbit. Yes, this is an elliptical orbit, you can see. Apparent movement of the Sun, already we discussed it in the previous video, and the inclination of the Earth axis in all its position in the orbit. That means how the sunlight drop upon the orbit, and it's different in the days and the night. Sometimes the days are longer than the night, sometimes the days are shorter than the night. This is the reasons why the days and the nights have a variation. Now, what is summer solstice? On 21st June, every year we get summer solstice. This is our Earth. This is the equator. 66.5 degree is Tropic of Cancer, that is in the northern hemisphere, and Tropic of Capricorn in the southern hemisphere, that is also 66.5 degree south. Now, how this summer solstice happened? Now I am going to show you that. Now you can see on this day, the North Pole is towards the Sun, it's getting so many lights, while the South Pole is away from the Sun. On this day, the Sun ray vertically falls directly upon the Tropic of Cancer, and all the parts of the northern hemisphere remains in the sunlight for more than 12 hours. and all the places up to the Arctic Circle from the North Pole receive the sunlight whole day, about 24 hours. And this region beyond the Arctic Circle is known as the land of midnight sun. Why it is known? Because it is, you can see in the sky the sun at the night also, at the midnight also. So there is a continuous daylight over there. In the northern hemisphere, you can see while getting the temperature continuously higher, the days are long and the nights are continuously short. And this position of the earth is known as the summer solstice. In the same case, while having the northern hemisphere have the sunlight, in the southern hemisphere they are not getting the sunlight properly. So that is why the length of the day decreases with increasing the latitude. And that is why in the southern hemisphere the Antarctic Circle having 24 hours night. So it is a winter in the southern hemisphere on that day, and it is continuously temperature getting low in the southern hemisphere. So while having the summer solstice on the northern hemisphere, there is a winter in the southern hemisphere. Next one, 23rd September autumnal equinox. After moving around the sun on its own orbit, the earth comes after 21st June. The sun appears over directly on the equator. While directly the sun ray falls down on the equator, then the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, I mean to say the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, have the same equal distance between the equator. That means the sunlight during this period have the same days and nights are equal all over the earth. And there is autumn in the northern hemisphere on that time, and in the spring in the southern hemisphere in the that time. Now I am going to show you one live demonstration. Now you can see the sunlight directly over it of the equator. So the North Pole and the South Pole both are equidistant from the sun, and that is why during this period the days and the nights are equal. In the northern hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere, both the days and the nights are equal all over the earth, and this is known as the autumnal equinox. So there is autumn in the northern hemisphere after the summer, and while there is a spring in the southern hemisphere after the winter. And this is the position of the earth on 23rd September is known as the autumnal equinox. Now equinox means the equal day and night. After the 23rd September, the earth continues revolve around the sun, and this time the sun appears to move further the southwards in this area. Now the sun appears vertically over it at the Tropic of Capricorn. At this position, the South Pole have towards the sun and the North Pole is away from the sun. And that is why in this period the southern hemisphere receives the sunlight for more than 12 hours. Now I am going to show you in my demonstration. Now you can see in this video that the sunlight are getting closer to the South Pole. The southern hemisphere is nearer to the sun and the sunlight vertically over the Tropic of Capricorn, and all the parts of the southern hemisphere receive the sunlight for then 12 hours. In the same case, in the northern hemisphere, you can see it is the darkened places. So, in the southern hemisphere, the days are the longer and the nights are shorter, and the temperature is higher because it gets more sunlight over there. And that is why there is a summer in the southern hemisphere. In the same way, you can see the northern hemisphere is away from the sun, so there is no sunlight over there, and that is why in the northern hemisphere it has less day and long night over this one. over this period, and the days are shorter, nights are longer, and the temperature continuously lower in the northern hemisphere. So it is known as the winter solstice. The last one, 21st March, vernal equinox. In this position, as the earth further continues revolve around the sun, again the sun appears to move towards the northward. On 21st March, again the sun rays vertically over the equator. The sun rays drops over the equator again. So the sun rays fall vertically over the equator, and all the places again equal day and equal night, because the North Pole and the South Pole are equal distance from the equator. So it is spring. In this time it is spring in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern hemisphere. Actually this is the opposite or reverse position of the autumnal equinox, and that is why it is known as the vernal equinox. Now again I am going to tell you the whole thing in a short way through this diagram. The first is 21st June, summer solstice. You can see the sunlight is coming over here in the northern hemisphere and over the Tropic of Cancer, while the sunlight is directly falls down over there. So in the northern hemisphere it gets the summer solstice, while the other hand the southern hemisphere is away from the sun and it happens a winter over there. Again it revolves around the sun and come to the 23rd September, and it makes the autumnal equinox, because the sunlight you can see coming over the equator, so the day and the night are equal all over the earth, because the North Pole and the South Pole are in the equal distance. Again it revolves around the sun and come to the position on 22nd December. It is the winter solstice. Actually this is reverse position of the summer solstice. You can see in this diagram that now the sunlight is getting over on the 6.5 degrees south, that is Tropic of Capricorn. On the other hand it is getting the darkened portion, you can see this. So it makes the winter solstice. In the southern portion it makes sunlight, so there is a summer and the temperature is higher, while the northern hemisphere is away from the sunlight, so it makes a winter solstice. Again it revolves around the sun and come to the 21st March, and it makes the vernal equinox, because again the sunlight falls over it of the equator. So again the North Pole and the South Pole is away equal distance from the equator, so it makes the equal day and night all over the earth. So these are the four main particular position of the earth.
So how it makes changes in season, we will discuss it in the next video. So stay tuned. If you like my video, please subscribe my channel, like, share and comment it. Thank you.